Hello, guys. My name is Derek Wright. I am the creator and commissioner of the Valatia Summer Basketball League, or Visible, as I will consistently refer to it as. Hopefully, if you are here, you have seen the highlights video that was posted the other day. And I can officially welcome you to year two of Valatia Summer Basketball League for 2024. The planning is well underway. However, I can officially announce that we are back, and this video is here to simply just outline some of the changes, and changes for your returning players, and if you're a new player who would be interested in joining, what you can potentially expect, and just about everything in between. So I'm going to preface this video real quick with a little spiel that I've written all of this for the most part, so that's why you're going to see some glare. But anyway, 2023 was the first year of this league, the Valatia Summer Basketball League, our first organized league at State Farm Park in Valatia since about 2016 or 17. Last year I mentioned it to everyone, and I was not lying when I said it was a foundation year. We had about 48 players that signed up and donated, and up until last year I had never run a league. I went into last year essentially with the training wheels on, so figuring out how it would go, a basic format. I knew it would be a long and potentially arduous process to improve this year after year. Point is, I did mean that wholeheartedly. I put a lot into this league, and as everyone knows, I hope that that can make this year and then going forward next year even easier. With that said, part of this foundation year would require a time of reflection and feedback, and that was completed as you saw in that highlight video. I met with all of the captains, and we kind of had, I would say, a one-on-one. There's like 6 of us, and I think that we came to a lot of improvements, or we made some strides and improvements for what you guys can expect going into 2024. So I know last year wasn't horrible, but I think this year will be even more pleasant. And there's always room for improvement. So I said that I would act on that, and I have. For those that are new, I said it many times last year, and I meant it. It is an overarching theme of me being the operator and the commissioner of this league, is that this is not my league. This is our league. It's player owned as far as I'm concerned. So I want voices to be heard, and there's going to be a new channel for that, which we'll talk about in a little bit, for how the voices are going to be heard, because that was one of the issues that I wanted to address last year, and amongst other issues that we are tackling. So with that in mind, my rambling is over. Let's start with the basics if you are new. The Valatia Summer Basketball League will be held every Tuesday and Friday from June 25th to August 9th at State Farm Park in Valatia. Opportunity Way. Games will tip off at 5:45 and end no later than 8 p.m. There should be 2 games every night. We are looking to get to 60 people this year, and that would be 6 full teams. We would figure out a schedule. The schedule would come out later in the year, or later in the spring, later spring, probably early summer, somewhere in that range. Once teams are set, we get close to the draft, and I know the numbers. So following the completion of the games on August 9th, the playoffs, air quote, will start, and that is entirely based around a play-in game, if necessary. If another odd number of teams, we would play a play-in game, and a tournament game, or a tournament and a benefit on August 17th, which would be in the afternoon. The exact time would be announced later on, roughly 1 to 2 o'clock in the afternoon until a little after dinner time, maybe 5:30 or 6. Multiple games. We would crown a champion on that tournament and benefit day. This has all been cleared with the town of Kinnerook, and that is why this is so fun, I think, is because it's a new format that means something. The trophy will be handed out. This year, we being me, are looking at getting an MVP trophy. So it would be basically a player-initiated MVP campaign, or MVP vote, I should say. But the tournament and the benefit is surrounding an entirely league-fed benefit to an organization. So this last year we did Columbia Green Humane Society and Precious Pound Pups Animal Rescue, who, who I work closely with still to this day. It's where I got my dog from. Both of those organizations were able to get $1,000 from the league. It was a $2,000 total handout. Our goal was once again to hit $2,000, and it may even be adjusted if we can hit 60 players, but we'll cross that at an organizational time and a logistical time later on. But the tournament and the benefit is Saturday, August 17th, where we have raffles. Um, there is food available, and it's, of course, at the park, so kids are welcome. I'm hoping to get advertising started a little earlier this year. That's something that I have to work on. But to play in the league, you must be 18 years and old or over. Bertations, rough words. 18 years old or older, and you must have graduated high school. We technically had somebody who's still playing and in high school, and that can be a problem last year, so we're not going to do that this year. 18 years old and older and have graduated high school. I suppose if you graduate high school and you're 17, I would probably let it slide. I graduated high school at 17, but the big thing is you're out of high school. Point is, um, that is step one. You have to pay the league fee, which we will talk about momentarily, and you have to completely sign the information packet. The information packet will be linked below. It is also linked. It's the same packet that was linked in the highlight video that was posted a few days ago. All players who sign up will be part of a Team Reach. If you're not familiar with Team Reach, it is an app on your cell phone, and it is for league-wide announcements and overall talk. So this year I will be much more subtracted from the Team Reach, which we'll talk about later. So those are generally the basics. Rules of basketball we'll talk a little bit about later. But let's talk about what has changed. So I mentioned just a minute ago, about the fee to pay in the league. It is $80 this year. That $80 can be paid by cash, check, Apple Pay, or Cash App. I'm flexible with all those. I do not take Venmo anymore. There's a money issue with Venmo, we'll just say. So Venmo has been removed, but you can pay by cash, check, Apple Pay, or Cash App. Why is it $80? Last year it was $25, and then there was a separate cost for jerseys. This year we're doing some different things. So first off, there's still $25 out of that $80 that is a donation for every player. That starts the donation pool to the organization or group that we are benefiting. Their jersey is also included in that. Last year it varied for teams. A lot of teams were closer to the $30 or $35 mark. A couple teams were at $25. In general, everybody's going to pay the same for jerseys. It's not really fair, so to speak, for different players on different teams to be playing with different jerseys. So it's going to allow everybody to pay the same amount for the jerseys, which is important that we keep costs fluent with everybody. The tournament and benefit costs, the food and the food truck is out of range because of the crowd that we have right now. So until we hit probably about 100 people, if that is to come in our future for this tournament and benefit, we have to pay for the food out of our pocket. And last year it was honestly a personal expense. And this year we're just all going to, again, everybody's going to pay for it. It's going to be an equal cost across all players. So the more friends you get to sign up, the less it's going to cost for you guys. The more we're able to donate, the more we're able to do other fun things like get bigger trophies, get more food if we need to, which would also be a thing if that was the case. And then there's also one other piece into that cost that I will talk about a little later because it goes into another change. So I will roll it back into that. I will readdress the other part of that fee. So $80. We also wanted to relieve people from paying twice. Last year they paid $25 to sign up essentially to get drafted. And then they paid another $35, and it was very unstructured. Some players to this day, I just found out, don't have their jersey from last year. So, with that being said, we're not going to have that this year. That's a big problem. Team captains and the commissioner will come together to order for everybody. They will all get ordered at once. They will all come in at once. So there's no... some teams, like if you notice in the highlight video, there's a couple clips where there's one team wearing jerseys and the other ones are playing basically in a white t-shirt. We're going to avoid that this year as well. So Next up, next change, we have a second in command. I am still the commissioner of the league, and I throw that in air quotes because, again, I'm basically just the organizer with a glorified title. But the level of hands-on issues last year were excessive. I'm not going to go too much into it. So the Valencia Summer Basketball League now has a president of player operations, a president of players association, PPA, PPO. Dalton Mashad will be stepping up. All team-related and format-related issues should be brought to him, not to me. I'm going to be a little less involved in the team reach. I'm going to be a little less involved when it comes to hands-on with players. If you have an issue, it should be funneled through your captain and him together, like all three of you, and then it should be brought to me. If it's really that big, Dalton will bring it to me immediately. Otherwise, they'll address it at the next pertinent time. So Dalton will be who to contact for any of those issues. Another change that I am doing this year with weather. Last year we had some big issues calling the weather. I tried my best to handle it with incoming rain. I make the final call with whether games go on or not. Being that the league is outside, it's obviously prudent to play as many games as possible. And I think we got rained out 3 times, which was 2 to 3 less times than I thought we would. And this year could be, we could see 5 or 6 rainouts. But late decisions to play and the attendance of players due to those late decisions was not helpful to teams. Therefore, I am absolutely going to stick to 4 p.m. this year. If I make a call and it turns out to be the wrong call, well, I'm not a meteorologist. Mother Nature wins every battle when it comes to that, and I can either be on her side or I can be against her. So Mother Nature will, if I make the right call, then great. If I make a couple wrong calls and it costs us a game or two, I'm going to have to do that because in the end, it was too much of a mess with the weather. That's just kind of the way weather works. You can't tell. So that's going to be much more stringent on my part. 4 o'clock, that's going to be it. If it looks like it's not going to rain, it's not going to rain. Okay, we'll go to the court. And if it does rain, well, you can't tell the future. So, for the benefit in the tournament, I brought this up that it is going to be held on Saturday, Saturday, August 17th. The only real change to that exact format right now is that the play-in game, which was originally played last year, the first game of that tournament and benefit, the play-in game will be played the Tuesday before that. That is August 13th, if we need one. Team number depending. If it's an even number of teams, if we get 6 teams, for example, all 6 will just play on Saturday, and the play-in will not be needed. We will cross that bridge when we get there. So now we're going to move on to the 2 biggest changes, and these are, in my opinion, massive. As you saw in the video, I sat down with Dalton, Cam, Shane, Dan, and we all kind of chatted about what we can do to be more proactive in helping players enjoy the league. The first change involves the draft. So we did a standard snake draft last year with a random selection for the captains. It's going to stay that way for the snake draft as far as format goes. However, rounds 3 and round 6 are going to be 2-for-1 picks. So what that means is that captains will choose a pair of players, and the players will be preferred teammates. So it's vitally important because of this that every player fills out and reads the entire packet. That's part of the reason I'm putting out this video, so everybody is aware of it. The bottom portion of the packet, there are 3 spots to sign. There's the health and safety, there's the rules, and then there is this spot for the draft, which is your preferred teammates. There are 2 teammates, 2 names that you can list of players who will be available in the draft. Captains will be responsible for selecting the pair of players. You indicate your preferred teammate, and the captain will select the 2 in those rounds. So rounds 3, they can select a pair of players. Round 4 will be a single player. Round 5 will be a single player. Round 6 will be a pair of players. This is going to allow players to play with friends. Essentially, that was a goal. It was something that we heard that was rough to get to last year because we wanted to prevent stacking, and friends always go with stacking, and it was the competition aspect. I think the competition was extremely balanced for the most part last year, and I believe, I'm not going to say it on behalf of them, but I believe when I brought it up to all the captains, they agreed that the teams were very well balanced because of the draft. This is going to just tweak it a little bit so that the players get a little bit more fun out of it if they can get drafted with somebody who they want to play with, their buddy who they play with all the time, or somebody who they feel comfortable as a teammate and they just know their tendencies on the court. Perfectly fine. Another smaller change, which I didn't talk to these guys for, but it's pretty easy to do, and I don't think anyone's going to really say anything about it. I'm going to try and record the draft this year and post it. It should be a little closer to the start of the season because of the jersey situation and because of the players cap that we are talking about. I'm going to have the players, all players have to be signed up by the day of the first game, and we're not allowing late signups again. Last year we had a mess adding players 3, 4, 7 weeks into the season. We can't do that. So, as far as the player pool goes, we're going to try and get the draft and the player pool, both of those nailed down relatively close to the start of the season. And then jerseys will be ordered and received in the first, hopefully, 2 weeks of the season. The captains will be hosting a tryout for the draft. There was some feedback that the captains weren't familiar with a lot of the play from some of the players, and so they requested a tryout, which isn't really a tryout. Everybody's going to get drafted if you're coming to play. It's a game of pickup, essentially, and the captains will just pay attention, and you can essentially raise your draft stock. Again, loose term, but it's kind of a real life aspect that the NBA has with college players that we can do with a lot of the players that are coming to play for the Valencia Summer Basketball League. So, again, we're hoping for 60 players. That would make for quite a lot of games, but the tryout would be announced in the team reach somewhere around, prior to draft day. So that is change one, is the draft format and the player acquisition format for how the teams are structured and how the teams will be formatted. It is vitally important that we try and have as many positive experiences out of players, but we do still want feedback because, again, I picture this year as the second level of a wedding cake, right? Last year was the base year, really fat. There's a lot of room for error, right? This year we're moving up a level, and we're going to try and hone in on some things and make it a little bit better. And it may take 3 or 4 years until you hit the top ring of that wedding cake where that's where everything is perfect, or close to perfect. It will never really be perfect, but so the draft is major change one. Major change two is something that was requested so much, and I am not 100% sure how it's going to get molded and shaped into the league yet. I mean, I do. That's a lie, but I don't know how we're going to get there. It is the addition of referees, them zebras. There's likely going to be multiple refs. There's likely going to be multiple refs of varying degrees, but the bottom line is we have the goal in the beginnings of a format to include a referee so that there's no more calling your own fouls. There was a big variance with some players last year. We want to eliminate that. What I talked about earlier with the fees is this is the other portion of the fees. That $80 would go to the refs on a per day basis. Obviously, player pool pending as to how much we would have for the referees. Referees in a professional capacity are very expensive, as they should be. But I am looking to find at least 3 different referees so that we can have a lot of different, just like in a professional league, you have different refs, but also so that we can have every game covered, on Tuesday, on Friday, so be it. I believe I have 1 for a portion of the games. I'm hoping I can get a second relatively soon, and it's already March, so it would be thumbs up. Again, that is something the league will talk about as we get closer to the start of the season. Right now, it's just announcement, gathering players, and working our way, getting the word out. But besides the logistics, this also opens up the door for free throws. So by making one change to the fees, we've now added referees, and that is something that was wanted. And then there was also a solution that was requested heavily for the ending of games, so we can't dribble out. And free throws and referees are the 2 that will grant this league that flexibility. So how does all of that work? That brings us to the gameplay. I'm going to quickly run through it for the players that were here last year. You guys are familiar with how it works. There's only going to be a couple small changes. For all the newbies, this is for you so that you can understand how we play games. 2 20-minute halves. From minutes 20 through 5, the clock only stops for timeouts and shooting fouls. That's it. So we're adding shooting fouls to the clock will stop. Timeouts were a standard. Unlimited timeouts in 20 through 5 of each half. So the first 15 minutes of each half, unlimited timeouts. It will stop the clock, and you have shooting fouls. There was a concern that was going to be too much clock stoppage last year. That was not an issue. It's not going to be this year. Shooting fouls, of course, grant an opportunity for substitutions and free throws. Great. It does not stop for standard substitutions, which we will do, hockey subs again, non-shooting fouls, or dead balls, out of bounds, made baskets. The clock will run. This helps keep time for each game under an hour. I don't think that's going to be much of a problem. Last year, a lot of the games were between 45 and 50 minutes. I think the fouls will bring it close to an hour, but we should be fine. So essentially, the clock will run nonstop until 5 minutes, other than timeouts and shooting fouls. During this time, there is no foul penalty either. So you can, if you foul 3 times and they get 6 free throws off of it, so be it. Minutes 5 through 2, the clock will stop for all fouls and substitutions. There is no foul penalty still. Okay. From minutes 2 until the end of each half, clock stops for everything. There is a 3 foul penalty for each team, and foul 3 will automatically put the other team at the free throw line. So your penalty is essentially 2 fouls. On your 3rd foul, they're shooting. This prevents dribbling out the clock and encourages close games to be played more straight up. Hit your free throws practice during the offseason. Yay. It's a huge change, really. Refs are incredibly important to changing this league, changing the game. It's rather large. I want to point out that all aspects of the natural game of basketball are in the cards for the refs. So what that means, offensive fouls, technical fouls, flagrant fouls, ejections, defensive fouls, blocking fouls, loose ball fouls. Everything is on the court for them to call. It is a game that we want to be as close to authentic as possible. Obviously, none of us are professionals, so there's going to be an adjustment period for this, and I want those words to be echoed. There is going to be an adjustment period for this, both for the refs and for us as players compared to last year. That is the truth. I don't think you're going to worry about flagrants or ejections, but you get my point. I think it's incredibly exciting, and the league can hopefully make another step with this. So that is the gameplay. We do play 2s and 3s. There is a scoreboard. The ref will hopefully be in charge of the clock. I think a simple little stop clock down watch will do just fine. And then we can remove somebody from the bench. We only need somebody to keep score, which is one less person that we need over there. I have not focused on stats at all. I'm going to tell you right now, last year there's a lot of clamoring for stats. If the captains wish to address this, they can do it on their own. As a league, it is just not in the cards for me right now. We need somebody who would be volunteering to do that, and they would have to do it unpaid. So I'm hoping the captains would do that if they wish to do it. What is not changing? This is the final section that I have here. Like I said, the timeout rule is going to remain unlimited in the first 15 minutes of each half, 3 timeouts in the final 5 minutes. I don't think that was once an issue last year, so we're going to keep it. Another thing that's not changing, there's no player attendance policy. So it's the summertime. Go on vacation. Miss a game for a grad party. You feel sick, that's fine. You don't feel like coming because it's too hot? Kind of weak, but okay. There's no player attendance policy. Do what you have to. If you have a family vacation, that's fine. That doesn't mean you can't come to the league for the other 6 weeks that we're doing it or whatever. If you have to miss a game, the only thing that your team would probably appreciate is if you let them know ahead of time, hey, I'm not going to be here next Tuesday or next Friday or whatever it is. But there's no attendance policy for captains, players, refs, none of it. What else is not changing? There will be a benefiting organization / cause. That's going to be announced later. The reason for that is because it is not set in stone, the first option that I have, and I will probably put something in the team reach later in the summer when we actually nail down what that is. I do have 4 different options, but there is one that is a primary. So Basketball is our vehicle for this league to donating and to making a difference. There is no player or person that is above the benefiting cause. That is what makes this visible. That is what makes us visible. We get to put out these videos. We get to do something for the greater good. We get to have fun playing basketball. We get to be competitive, and we hand out some trophies. Everything about that is visible. It's what players want. It's what anyone sponsoring us wants. They want to be visible. We want to be visible. Bottom line. What else is not changing? Every team will play on Tournament Saturday. Even if there is a play-in, the losing team for the play-in will play on Saturday. Mark my words. I will find a way. You're going to play. Probably like a second chance qualifier. Haven't figured it out yet, but you will play. And finally, I already mentioned this one. We'll still be asking players for help with the scoreboard, if possible, stats too. And the referee will be ideally responsible for the clock. So the referee being responsible for the clock is new, but everything else is not. So everything else is relatively straightforward, I hope. If there are other questions, reach out to me. My contact information and the league's email will be right after this video. So stay right here. It's going to load. And I hope we can get you guys all signed up sooner rather than later. $80, fill out the form, send me your cell phone number, because I'm going to need to send you the team reach, and it's probably best that I have it too. And other than that, you guys take care. Thank you for enjoying the video. Thank you for making year 1 a success, and I hope we can make year 2 an even bigger success. From Derek, the commissioner of the Valatia Summer Basketball League, you guys take care. Commish out.